Hey everybody, it's time to circle the wagons. This is Mailman here. The Coon Prairie Ramblers are in town, and it's time to share our mental meanderings and to confabulate on just about everything. With me is the KC and the Moonshine Band. KC, how you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, okay. And we have Luke, the rebel without a clue, here with us too. How you doing, buddy?
It is I. Let's get going here.
All right. Hey, I didn't realize I was going to talk about horse racing today, and it didn't even occur to me that the Kentucky Derby ran this past weekend.
It did.
Yeah, and we have a new champion, and you know his name or her name? I don't know. It must be a guy horse.
I don't know.
It's the American Pharaoh. Kenny, did you see it?
Yes, sir, I sure did.
All right.
Who was you rooting for?
Good race.
I always root for whoever comes in first.
After the fact, right?
Yeah. I know. You know, in football games, any kind of game, I always root for the underdog. Who isn't supposed to win? And I'm thinking and sometimes it gets me in trouble because I'll be at someone's house or something, you know, because I don't watch sports on my own at my house. Mm-hmm. I'm usually at somebody else's place. And then, I'm watching, and I don't, I'm always rooting for the wrong one because they're rooting for, whatever. Anyway, when I was a kid, do you guys have any experience with racehorses?
I raced a few stick horses in my life, but that's about it. No real experience, and I've never watched the Derby.
Did you ever win?
The stick horse stuff?
Yeah.
Once in a while. I wore out a few mop handles and broom handles. Trust me, we didn't have the real horses with the not real horses, but the horses with the plastic heads. We couldn't afford those, so we tied a string around the end of the broom handle, and that was our horse.
And you had to pretend it had a head on it.
That's right. The headless. I was the horseless headman, or the headless horseman, whatever you want to call it.
Well, anyway, after the fact, I tuned in on YouTube and saw the winner win. The American Pharaoh, but it brought back a lot of memories. When I was in my early 20s, I think when I was 20, I worked at Thistle Downs up in Cleveland.
Thistle?
Yeah, it was one of my many jobs. I worked with the thoroughbreds. I was a pony boy. Or they may call it an outrider. I can't remember what it was. My memory is failing, but I know I called it a pony boy. The guy who rode the pony rode the horse, pulled the horse around the track to exercise it and to take it up to the starting gate. Some horses required that. So it depended on their temperament and their personality. I've had many jobs where I've decided, well, this is not the career for me. One of them was I worked on a railroad, and that turned out that wasn't my career.
I've been working on the railroad.
Oh man, I thought I had a perfect job, then I learned real quick that it wasn't. But at the
railroad you out of there?
Yep. Yeah, I got out of that quick. Actually, I got out because the Penn Central went bankrupt. That's how. But that was a lucky out. But working at the racetrack, I learned not to bet, not to be a gambler.
You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
But the thing is, I figured out early on that I didn't know when to hold them, and I didn't know when to fold them.
I never had enough money to fold.
And, how do you know?
You don't. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
And that's gambling, too.
Well, I used to... I used to go to the guy who owned the horses. He'd come to me after the fact. He said, "Mailman." No, he didn't say mailman. He said, "Mel, why didn't you bet on that horse?" I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" Because I ain't got no idea who's going to win.
You're donating more than you're doing anything else in betting.
Anyway, I used to go to the track, and I'd bet $1 here and there, but I always lost. But one day, I went to watch the races, to watch our horse run, and I saw this old timer there, standing there with a handful of tickets. I mean, he had a big pile of tickets. He must have spent a fortune on it. And he was watching the race, and the horses were coming around, and they were at the last furlong, and evidently, I don't know where his horse placed, but it didn't win. And I remember watching this old guy, and he allowed these tickets. He kind of released his grasp on them, and they kind of started flowing in slow motion,
fluttering down
to the ground. And he was saying, "All my money, all my money." Boy, that sent a chill up my back. I'm thinking, man, that guy's just spent all of his money, his fortune or whatever, And it looked like a fortune to me there. I mean, it was a bunch of tickets.
That's a lesson.
Oh, man. So I have never bet on anything. I have never gambled since that day, and I was 20 years old.
You learned a lesson. KC, what do you know about horse racing?
Well, I went to Miami one weekend, and while I was down there, I decided to go by the Calder racetrack. Went there with my wife. While we were there, I bought a program, was looking at it. I looked at one of the horses running in one of the races, and it was trained by Marvin Moncrief. I knew who Marvin Moncrief was because he was from Arcadia.
Really?
Wow, what a coincidence. So I decided to bet on this horse. And on the way up there to the window, I got kind of a little bit cold feet. I changed I didn't have a lot of money, a limited amount. We budgeted on what we we took and what we were going to spend down there, I was going to put a $20 bet down on this horse. Didn't really want to lose $20. So when I got up to the window, I changed my mind. I bet $20 to show instead of win.
Okay.
It was a long shot. I go back and sit down and watch the race, and sure enough, that horse goes to the lead and wins the race going away.
Seriously?
Fun, a little bit. A show bet doesn't pay anything like a win bet, especially on long odds. I'd have went hundreds of dollars had I went ahead and gone with my original thought of bet a win. And instead of getting the win, I got the show, and I don't know. It was still, a lot better than what losing, but I didn't. In a way, I lost because I didn't do the big bet.
Wow.
Oh, man. So have you ever really won anything, Casey?
The most I've ever won on a bet was the dog race. I won like $3,000 or $4,000.
Wow.
Whoa. Like on one dog?
But that was a whole other story also.
Oh.
I went up to bet it at the window, and I sat down and used the program and was going to bet a trifecta box, which means I picked 3 dogs to come in first, second, and third. But if I box them, it doesn't matter what order they come in, I still win.
Oh.
So I go up to the window and I place my bet and I go sit back down. About the time I sat back down, it was putting the dogs in and it was too late to go back and bet. And I realized I had bet on the 9th race instead of the 8th race. I said, oh crap! I said I'm not going to win. Because I bet on the wrong bunch of dogs. Turns out they won anyhow.
Different set of dogs.
And they were long shots, and so I won $3,000. I didn't tell anybody at the time that it was a mistake. I just pretended like I did something I was trying to do.
Take it anyway. Nothing wrong with that.
Total freak.
Wow, you lucked out there.
Wow. My brother, one time I went to visit my brother, and we always took a ride around the country when I would go visit my brother, and he just liked to ride. And one day he pulled up to this convenience store, and he's sitting there for a little bit, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he's wanting to get a drink of soda or something, a pop, or whatever they.
What is that?
Call it.
You mean a Coke?
Coke, yeah. So he's getting ready to hand me a couple bucks. He said, Mel, would you go in there and buy me a lottery ticket? And I'm thinking, well, I said, Doug, we're both sitting here. We're both as close to that front door. It's just as easy for you to get out there and go get that ticket as it is for me. And he says, no. He says, God likes you better.
Well, he thought that was going to up his ante a little bit.
I said, Doug, I don't know. I think it's a toss-up. You better go up there and get that ticket. But I really didn't want to do it because I kind of had, since I was 20 years old, I had set to think I'm not going to gamble. Wow. And then I'm thinking, well, this is somebody else's money. But anyway, fortunately, he got out. Well, we both went up in there, and I watched him buy the ticket, and he lost. He didn't win anything.
Oh, well. Well, we're down to about a half a minute here.
Well, that was my experience with gambling. So I'm not a gambling man. Because I don't know how to fold up and how to hold them. I
gamble enough just getting on the road and driving.
Yeah.
Getting out of bed every morning.
That is a gamble going down that road.
It is.
You just think every time, every single thing that comes your way could hit you.
And kill you. All right, well, we're going to back on out of here, and we'll be talking to you in a short. Don't go away now. Don't touch that dial.